Hello, welcome to the Wasting Time podcast. We are now up to episode 24. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and I'm here with Nick. How's it going, Nick?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Very good, very good. Enjoying the bank holiday weekend. How's yours been?
Yeah, it's been good. Boozy. Some little hungover right now. So
yeah,
I guess we can probably just get straight into our interview with Vinnie.
Yeah, I am into that. Let's go for it.
So yeah, we had Vinnie Caruana of Movielife and I Am The Avalanche fame with us last week. So here it is.
We are joined all the way from New York with Mr. Vinnie Caruana. Hello, Vinnie.
Hello. That's the correct pronunciation. I love it. It's very, very rare. How are you?
Good, man. Yeah, good. Where are you? Are you in Long Island at the moment? Then are you?
I'm in Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn for a while now. About 20 miles away from where I grew up on Long Island.
So I guess we probably want to get into that a little bit, really, in terms of your upbringing over there and how you kind of got into music. I don't know if you can kind of take us right back a bit.
Sure. Where do I start? How far back would you like me to go?
I guess what it was like growing up in Long Island, and at what point you kind of got into music. Any influences around that time that kind of started when you started playing and stuff.
I grew up in Nassau County, which is closer to the city. Suffolk County is more out east, further out on Long Island. So I grew up about maybe 10 miles from the border of Queens, where New York City starts, and in a town called North Merrick, where, say, it's about a 10-minute drive to the beach, so really nice beaches. So we grew up going to the beach a lot in the summer, and tons of kids around our neighborhood that we grew up with. And music was always like a really big part of my household. My dad was really into tunes, and there was a record player in the basement, so he taught us how to use it at a very young age, told us not to scratch the records. And
what kind of records was he playing at that point?
Well, my dad was he was into obviously the Beatles, a lot of Queen, a lot of Beatles, a lot of Kiss, the band, like Crosby, Stills and Nash, Paul Simon, stuff like that. But we were definitely encouraged to get into our own music, and he would buy us records that we wanted to get into. So I remember we started getting Ozzy Osbourne records and Judas Priest and stuff like that. I have two older brothers, so they were like, it was a lot easier for me to get a hold of music because they were starting to become people and starting to, figure out who they were and what kind of music they liked. So that was really helpful for me to just kind of sneak into their rooms and later on and start finding punk rock and hardcore and like alternative music,
Okay, so that was through them.
Yeah. Music was always a big thing with us growing up with my parents and them kind of facilitating that. But yeah, as soon as my brothers got into their teenage years, they started going to shows. They would go and see Faith No More and Pantera and White Zombie and stuff like that. And, once you're kind of an alternative kind of kid and you start digging deeper, and they discovered a scene that was happening on Long Island in their, I guess, very early 90s. And it was a hardcore scene, but it was a very eclectic hardcore scene and punk scene. A lot of bands that were not really hardcore or punk, but everything kind of fit under this umbrella of Long Island hardcore, which is what we came to learn it to be. And so Long Island hardcore, when I was growing up, and even before the Movielife started, and even when the Movielife began, that was kind of the scene. Long Island hardcore meant this thing that was happening. It didn't necessarily mean that you were a hardcore band,
Got it. Got it.
But my brothers were there for this first kind of wave. And I was paying attention, and I was around maybe 11 years old, 12 years old when I went to my first show. In the town, Merrick, where I grew up, there was a lot of musicians from that town for some reason. Like, there was a few towns on Long Island that maybe just had more kids that were into the scene than other towns. And
Okay.
we were lucky that Merrick was one of them, because there was some band, it ended up being, let's see, so Vision of Disorder, VOD for short, was like a massive thing. I mean, they became a worldwide thing, but in the beginning, they were just the best band on Long Island by far.
Okay.
They were putting on crazy shows. They were way better band than anybody else. It was exploding like within a year of like watching VOD when I was like 12 or something.
So
I'd say within a year.
Okay.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, at what point did you get to know those guys? Was that later on when you were in a band yourself, or did you kind of get to know them from going to their shows, or how did that come about?
Well, my older brothers went to school with them, and they were all like best friends. And my brother had a band as well, my brother Mike. And so, no, I got in really early. My first show might have been their third show.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I was allowed to go at a very young age because I just begged to be. I knew that it was something I was really going to be interested in, and something I was going to be a big part of my life. I just thought it was so cool. And so, yeah, I started being allowed to be able to go, and only when my brothers were playing, or when VOD was playing, or when my brothers agreed to like have me hang around. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to go to every show ever. It's all I thought about. And that was hard for me, being really young, I understood why I wasn't allowed, but I remember my parents being like, you can't, it's cool that you're getting into this thing, but you can't go to every show. You have to,
Right.
there's a life you have to live, kind of thing. So, that was my favorite part about getting older and growing up. It was like, yes, now I can do whatever I want. I can go to every show. I can, so that was really my thing. I made so many good friends. The scene had grown from like a few hundred people to like thousands of people. But in the beginning, being one of the young kids, there was only a few of us that I remember back then. And Daryl from Glassjaw was one of them. He and I basically became friends because we were the only kids our age going. And we just kind of were like, hey, guess we should be friends, since we don't know anybody else that's into this who's 12, 13 years old, But yeah, it became a massive scene, and most of the bands that the world has heard of from Long Island in this very broad scene, we're little kids in the crowd going to see all these really cool Long Island bands that kind of paved the way for all of us.
Cool. Well, I guess fast forward to the start of Movielife, that I guess was a product of that scene, right?
Oh, totally. It was kind of the next wave. Glassjaw was playing in a basement somewhere out east on Long Island, and they had a song on their EP that required 2 vocalists. So sometimes if I was around, I would sing with them. And I sung with them that day. And Eddie Reyes, who was in a band called Clockwise, who was a band that we would go and see like every weekend. They were awesome. Eddie Reyes, who went on to form Taking Back Sunday, and who wrote a lot of huge songs for them and toured the world with them for years. He is probably the reason why we're talking right now. Right, because he was just like, I saw you singing with Glassjaw. So yeah, he's like, I'm starting a new band. I'm like, whoa. I don't know why, but I never really thought about being in a band. I never took it seriously. And I was like, nah, I don't really sing. He's like, no, you sing, you should try out. And so they gave me a tape of a song that Eddie wrote. And my job was to write over it, like to show that I knew what I was doing, which I didn't. And so I went to Daryl's house, and he, I guess maybe Eddie and Daryl are the reasons we're talking right now, because Daryl was very instrumental in helping me get my start as far as like, all right, this is what you do. Like, you just write words, right? Just write about whatever you want to write about and fit it into the song. And I'm like, sounds hard. So when I tried out, basically what we did was we just opened a book of poems that Daryl had, and we just picked one and we just fit it into the song, and he helped me out. And then I brought it to practice, and then they were like, cool. You did this? I'm like, Daryl helped me a little bit, but truthfully, Daryl wrote all the words and we basically did everything. And then I joined the Movielife for what it was back then, which was Evan on drums, Alex on guitar. They were from a band called the Sand Pebbles, and Nick, who's now the bass player at Bayside. He was the original bass player, and Eddie. And then we started rolling, and I started figuring out how to do my thing. Yeah. Started figuring out how to write lyrics, how to sing better. I don't know. It's bizarre that I still do this. It's pretty crazy.
Had you learned the guitar at that point, or did that kind of come later on in life? Was it just
I could play a few chords, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I wasn't really writing music. I was just like given music and then writing lyrics over that for a while. But no, I would toy around with the guitar, but I never took that seriously either.
And so when was this about 96, 97 when this is all kicking
97 was when it started, like the fall of 97. So it was the summer of 97. So it was the summer after I graduated high school.
Right. Okay.
So I graduated high school and I was going to go to college, which I did for 2 years, but I dropped out of college when Movielife started getting more serious. Like we wanted to try to tour and make records.
So had you gone to college somewhere locally then, if you were still able to do the band at the same time, presumably? Yeah, I went to a state school on Long Island. Right. Okay. Which I didn't take seriously at all. Right. I was never really a good student. They didn't really talk about learning disabilities and ADHD and all that shit. And I'm not saying that that's what I have. But I found it terribly hard to concentrate and to retain information that I didn't care about. So I was just kind of like, I did find in school that in college, when I was in a few classes that I enjoyed, that I actually excelled in them and got A's. And but I was a bad student. I didn't give a shit. I didn't want to go to college, but my father basically, he was like, you got to go to school. You got to get an education. So I said, cool. And he's like, what do you want? No idea. And basically gave him an answer, maybe open a restaurant or something, which I have no passion for at all. I just said it. He's like, all right, cool. Yeah. So then you go to school for business. And then it was, I see.
It was hell because going to school for business is like basically just all math and economics and shit. And I barely graduated high school because I was terrible with math.
Right.
I mean, I had to take like the finals for math like 3 times, almost got held back, almost had to do school again. Like with the kids that were
definitely not one of your favorites then. Right.
No, so yeah, I was in Hells, and Daryl was going to school like an hour north, and I started seeing this nice girl at his school. Yeah. And basically just stopped going to class, and I just started hanging out up there a lot. Got my report card and wasn't cool at all. I got like 0 because I didn't take any of the tests.
Oh God.
I still have dreams like that. I still have dreams where I'm in school, but I'm just totally skipping certain classes and just not going, like, ever, for like the whole semester. But it's actually what happened. Like, I actually did that. Surprised my father didn't strangle me. Like, he was pissed, but.
I was just going to ask, if he was keen on you going to college, like, how did that go down when you left after 2 years? Presumably, to be in a band as well. Presumably, he wasn't impressed initially.
he, you know what? Like, my parents are growing up, you don't always, like, see eye to eye with your parents and shit. And
sure,
looking back, they're incredible. They're great now, and we get along really well as adult human beings. Back then they were probably pretty frustrated. They had 3 boys. None of us were particularly good in school, but we were good dudes, and they were glad that they had some good dudes. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the hell I said to my dad when he looked at that report card, but he said, "You got one more chance, or else I was still living at home. I was 18, 17, something like that when the band started. So, I went to school for just like a liberal arts, which is, I don't know what you would call that in England, but just general studies. You just do like philosophy, history. It's kind of just like another semester of high school where you have a bunch of different broad spectrum. And I did a lot better. But Movielife, we were all talking about getting serious and basically buying a van, going on tour. Again, my parents were super cool. Basically, long story short, I got in really big trouble at the same time that this was all going on. There was a situation that happened in my town with some dudes from my town, and long story short, we got into this big fight, and one of the dudes got real hurt, and so me and a bunch of my friends got arrested for felony assault, which is a really big deal.
Jesus.
So we were teenage kids being charged with felonies for what? Again, I'll keep the story very short with that. I'll spare you all the details, but the way I see it, we won a fight. We got into a fight and we won. They lost, so they called the cops and said that, I don't remember, but some nonsense. So I had to go to court maybe once a month, and basically that was ongoing for a few years.
For a few years, really?
Yeah, for a few years, because they were trying to throw me in jail, and they were trying to throw me in a jail that would, if I went to jail there, it would definitely knocked my life off course, and I don't even know if I would have survived that. Not really cut out for Nassau County Jail, but anyhow, back to your question, which is the reason I went into that, is when I told my dad I was dropping out of school to go on tour, I was actually sitting with him in court, waiting to have a hearing about this felony assault that I was being charged with. I have no idea why I chose that moment to tell him, but I did.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how he reacted at the time, but my parents have always been really supportive of, I don't know, just been really unbelievably supportive of everything. I'm sure they were pretty, and they still are supportive too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's pretty gnarly. It's a I'm not like a rock star. You know what I mean? It's not like I've gotten rich from music. So it's been a grind from day one to make a living playing music. And I'll be 40 years old this year, which is crazy to say. I don't feel that way. I don't feel 40, but I'm still doing it. I'm still having more fun than ever. I'm still playing great shows. People are still super excited. I'm still, you know, writing songs. I think is something that completes me, like as a human being, and it's something that keeps me really happy. And you know, I feel like, you know, there's other things that I'm interested in. There's other things that I might get involved in a business sense, because you do have to think about the future.
Sure.
But I feel like I'll always write music, and I'll always perform music if as long as, you know, a few people will come and watch me, because it really does make me a happy person. There's a lot of darkness and a lot of, you know, listen, the human experience can be fucking painful and terrible sometimes. And we all have that darkness, and we all have shit that we need to work through. And I'm able to be a pretty happy guy. And I'm not so sure I would be able to say that if I didn't have this outlet. And also, you know, I am getting older, and there is this like urgency that's like been kicking in the last few years of like, holy shit, do the work, like do it, man, like fucking go hard before you're old, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm going hard as hell.
Right.
I'm writing tons of music, having the blast, because I know, you know, it doesn't last forever. So I'm really
before it slows down. Yeah.
It seems like the scene at the moment, though, is there are a lot of kind of those old veterans in the kind of punk rock and pop punk scene kind of doing that comeback, and you know you see other guys like Mike Herrera, who just never seems to give up, and he still keeps going. And you know, there's definitely, you know, like you say, as long as people are there to listen and interested, then that, you know, it's going to keep you going, right?
Exactly. It's really cool, and I feel so fulfilled and so lucky that I still get to play shows. And I look back on what I've done so far, and I look at what I have on my plate now, and what I'm going to be releasing later this year as far as music goes, and I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. This is awesome. I'm so glad that I get to do this. So yeah, I'm enjoying it thoroughly and totally like living life full on 110%, until one day I have to pull it back to like 70% or something.
Right. Fortunately, we're not at that day just yet.
No.
Sorry, sorry to jump back again, Vinnie. I just wanted to ask before, like, so when you started to do the Movielife basically as a full-time thing, was that when you guys were on what was that label, Revelation? Were those the guys that kind of helped you to enable that, or did that come later?
That came a little bit later. So the first label that we released a record on was It's Go Time record. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that record.
Yeah,
that was your first full length. That's your first full length, right?
Yeah, and it came out on a label called Fade Away Records, which was still our friends.
Right. Okay.
And we toured an awful lot on that record. So I would say that we went full time when Fade Away Records put out our record.
Got it. Okay.
And we got a van, and the Revelation was kind of a result of all that hard work. We would go out and tour.
Okay.
And we were touring on It's Go Time, and Revelation started to pay attention. And I think we played a few shows in California, and obviously we would reach out to labels and they would come out and see us. Yeah. And Revelation was such a huge deal for us as hardcore kids. I mean, they were like the legendary hardcore label, still are.
Sure.
So when they were interested, we were blown away. We could not believe it. And then when it finally happened, we were just so happy.
Yeah, and I guess they helped kind of put you on the map a little bit. I know certainly for me personally, that's when you guys first came across my radar, was with that This Time Next Year record, which was obviously the one you put out through them. I remember
definitely.
I lived up in Newcastle as well in those days, and Newcastle used to be quite good for finding, I guess, what ultimately were obscure-ish records in that genre, but I remember like getting my hands on that, and yeah, that was how I first became familiar with you guys. And I suppose that would have been the case with lots of people around the world at that point, I guess.
Exactly. There was definitely a more worldwide reach.
Yeah.
It was a hardcore label, and they were releasing a lot of heavy stuff at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like we, made this big splash. Not the hugest splash, but there were people that were kind of on the fringes of hardcore, and some of the people that were into basically all the stuff that Revelation was putting out. Some of those people paid attention, and this was also the first time we ever had like a publicist or anything. So, we started doing interviews, like international interviews, and we would see clippings from fanzines and magazines and stuff.
That must have been surreal.
Yeah, it was insane. It was really cool. And this time next year was really special to some people. And I definitely, that was what brought us to the UK. That's for sure. Our first show, our first tour in the UK was in support of This Time Next Year.
Was it really? Oh,
yeah.
Was that a headline tour? Because I didn't know you guys had been. I think the first tour I saw you on was the very first one supporting, the first drive-through release, the EP. But so you first. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, unless I have it wrong, I believe we did a headlining tour with Thursday supporting us.
Yeah, that's
what you're talking about?
I saw you on. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe the EP was out too then. I'm doing my best to remember the time frames. But yeah, our first tour in the UK was definitely heavy on the This Time Next Year.
Sure.
I'm sure the set was probably almost the whole record, considering a headlining set in England, you got to play for an hour, which we had never done before.
Right.
We would, like play 20-minute sets or a half hour or something. So we remember that being like, holy shit, well, we don't have that many songs. So
I just remember the funny story from certainly the show that I saw you on that tour. I was catching up with a buddy of mine last night, and I was at that show with him, and I remember because we were just like 18-year-old kids, we were dickheads, and like he was like causing trouble in the pit, and you stopped mid-song and like called him out, like quite rightly so at the time. But I remember him being so embarrassed, and like the next day he was like, "Shall I email him or something?"
Well, that was something that that's definitely something that I learned watching all the frontmen from, in the hardcore scene on Long Island. Nobody was allowed to be a dickhead. Nobody was, moshing was encouraged, but if someone was, looked like they were trying to fight people or something like that, then, I've done that a lot of times. That's gotten me like into fights myself.
Really?
People get upset. Yeah. I got into a fight with like an entire group of people that came to see me play once, because my friend lives in Utah, friend I grew up with here, and he was like dancing and shit, and I saw someone take a swing at him, so I just ran into the pit and just started hitting people with a microphone and got him out of there. And I don't remember what happened after that. It was people waiting for us outside, and it was like this funny situation where you like squaring off fighting with people that like just paid to see you play. Strange. It's a strange vibe, but
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you see someone take a swing at your friend, you gotta do something.
So I guess you've done a pretty fair amount of touring over here in the UK. What was that kind of first experience like then over here? Did you kind of fall in love with the place first time you came over? And
absolutely, totally fell in love. We were dreaming. We were on a bus with Thursday, who were our good friends. I remember one thing about that tour. It was our first time over there. I had all these like articles in Kerrang and stuff like that, and we were just like, what the fuck is going on over here? Like, and also I remember like getting on the phone with my manager and being like, stop moving the London shows. Stop moving. He goes, they keep selling out. I'm like, no, they're not. Why would they sell out? We've never been here before. And I remember being like, show me what's going on, because the venue keeps moving and people are going to get confused. And I was just like, everyone knows where the show is. It's being moved to this bigger room again. And I remember being like, what room? And it was the Mean Fiddler, which was this,
I remember.
maybe about 1,000 people. And we were like, there's no fucking way. There's got to be some mistake. Don't screw up the London show. This is our first time here. Like, trust me, just you're going to show up and there's going to be a room filled with people, 1,000 people, and they're all going to know all your songs. And I'm like, there's no way that's true. So we rolled up.
Who was driving that push then? Because obviously the internet really wasn't kind of at its height in terms of streaming and what have you. But I mean, you say there was kind of a lot of coverage in Kerrang and what have you. Was it were the label pushing that, or what do you think it was that actually kind of?
Because this would be drive through at this point, presumably as well.
I guess the EP must have been out, and there's a guy named Steven Anderson who was working our PR back then.
Okay.
And he's doing a good job.
Doing a great job, and I guess the drive-through thing was also kind of starting to explode. Yeah. A lot of people were just paying attention to whatever they put out. And also, I very distinctly remember a lot of people knew us because of Glassjaw. So Glassjaw had kind of exploded in the UK. And then everybody, because I think they went there with the Deftones. And so Glassjaw got really big in the UK. And I believe Daryl would just tell everybody, yo, my best friend's got a band. It's called the Movielife. They're going to come over here. You guys need to check them out. So he was Daryl was definitely like championing us in the UK. That's for sure. Our first photo shoot for Kerrang was unreal. It was Jimmy Page's daughter, Scarlett Page, was shooting us. And I thought, what the hell is my life becoming right now? This is really fucking bizarre. So then we went over and instantly we had this fan base in the UK. And I fell in love. I was so in love with the country. And when someone shows you so much love, you kind of like fall in love with them back pretty quickly. So the fact that more people were responding to our music in England than they were in most of the United States, we were super.
That's interesting. Was it just the UK? Were there any other countries that did that for you? Because it's interesting how it's different countries with different bands. Like, because we were talking to the guy from Alistair the other week, and he was like this, but about Japan. Not so much the UK.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, we didn't. It was just the UK, and then certain places in the United States, and Europe kind of followed a little bit. But we didn't end up going to Europe for like another year, I don't think, after that. But we just went to the UK, and then we just kept wanting to hurry back and build on what we were doing. And we did a good job of building this thing in the UK until we broke up at the very worst time.
Right.
Which
obviously came after that full length, which everyone was loving at the time. And yes,
I know, it was just it was stupid. We were so sick of each other, and the record came out. I remember they were playing the video on TV and shit, and we went and played Reading and Leeds Festival, and then we were Funeral for a Friend was like exploding, playing Brixton Academy and shit like that.
Yeah.
And we were coming over. Our single was playing on the radio. We were coming over to do main support in these massive rooms. And then the whole plan was that we were going to be the next band to headline those rooms. And instead we broke up. And everybody was just like, wait, what happened? Like, they just released this record that so many people were getting into. And a record that is still a big thing to a lot of people. I mean, I just sung all those songs on this last tour, and
yeah,
you could see how much these songs mean to so many people still.
Yeah, we dive back into that record all the time. Well, was there anything in particular that you did different in terms of kind of pulling that together and writing 40-hour Train Back to Pen?
We did take time off, which was cool. That was smart. We had never done that before. We hung out in a practice space like every day, like it was our job. I mean, it was our job. But it wasn't like, hey, when can you practice? It's like, no, we're practicing every day.
Right.
So we did. And, Brandon Riley definitely came into his own. I mean,
right.
he wrote like every riff on that record. He wrote, the band would jam on the songs and figure out structures and things, but Brandon really did take it to a new level. And Brandon, so I always say that I'm super pumped that my lyrics and the words and the things that I had to do with still mean something
right.
to people. But, that was really Brandon Riley, on the music side, did a great fucking job. And I had no idea that he had that in him. And I'm so glad that he did, because the collaboration just really worked. And, but yeah, he crushed the music, and I guess I came through on the, there's still a few songs that I'm not that into on that record, but singing all of them on this last tour has been pretty cool. Like, I found something to like, and something like this crazy nostalgia, that really carried me through the songs that I feel like I could have done a better job on. Maybe I could have applied myself better. That's every record. You regret certain things.
Right. What's your favorite song off that album, looking back?
I think Ship to Shore is my favorite.
Okay, cool.
It's funny. I would tell little stories. There was a lot of storytelling on this last tour. I couldn't shut up because all these memories would flood back. And the Ship to Shore, I wrote the words when we were on a thing called Deconstruction Tour. Were you guys? Do you remember that?
I do remember it. I never got to one, but I remember it well. Yeah.
We were on tour. It was a festival tour, maybe 10 bands. And it was like we were on tour with some of our heroes. It's the first time we met the guys from the Descendants. Because All was on the tour. And H2O, who we had toured a bunch with, who, are from kind of the same-ish area. Our friends in Midtown who we were coming up with and experienced a lot of fun shit with.
Great band.
Love Midtown.
Yeah.
I was talking to Rob recently.
Oh,
the
Rob,
drummer.
I've met Rob a bunch of times. He's a super nice guy.
He's great. I was telling, because I missed the Midtown shows. I was out of town, I guess, playing shows or something. And I missed the reunion shows. So I was telling them, like, you got to do more. Yeah. I want to, have me open as a solo artist. I'll pick your set list and you can pick mine. Yeah, I think that'll happen too. I really hope so. Like, I really want to see Midtown. I love those guys. Anyway, so like the Ship to Shore thing, we were on tour with like this crazy tour. We were going to cities I'd never been to. We got to go to Prague and Vienna and Zurich and all this stuff that was really just amazing to us that we were able to do that. And I wrote Ship to Shore. I wrote the lyrics to Ship to Shore on that tour in Germany because I wanted to go home. So I thought it was really funny that this like little shit who has like the world at his fingertips, who's like living the dream. And he's sitting on a tour bus in Germany when he's touring with all these legends and just totally living this crazy, awesome, like fun time and just like finding something to complain about, which I think was really silly. But I do like Ship to Shore a lot. It's my favorite song musically and lyrically. Jamestown's always a banger though. I love that one too. The sleeper hit that, for me, the song that I was least interested in singing was "It's Something."
Oh right, okay,
and,
that's my favorite one.
Yeah, that came around. I came around to that. I was like, oh, this is actually cool. Like I like there's some interesting like structure stuff in there and melody stuff, and that totally surprised me.
Right. Okay.
As soon as we conceived the idea of doing these songs, doing these 2 records, I immediately thought about all the songs that I didn't necessarily feel like singing. But I enjoyed the whole thing. I enjoyed everything. It's pretty special.
Cool. So, I mean, what was that relationship with Drive Through like then, in terms of, I guess, initially kind of signing for those guys, but towards the end as well? I mean, I guess they were pretty disappointed to hear the news of you guys splitting, right?
Jeez, I don't know. We didn't really take anyone else's feelings into consideration. We were kind of just like, I'm done with you. You're done with me. I'm going home. In hindsight, it would have been a better idea to just get home and take a deep breath and splash some cold water on our face and just, but we had been touring like 9-10 months a year for like 3 years or something, and we just burnt ourselves out. But yeah, we didn't really like talk to anybody about it. We were just like making our own decisions, and we didn't really take anything else into. I know even the English label too was like, dudes, come on, man. We just set up like this radio campaign, like, yeah, you guys are about to be this big thing here, and we were just like, I don't fucking care. I'm gonna get a normal job. Yeah. It's just that much of it, like this tour exhaustion mixed with frustration and I don't know. We're still growing up, we were still figuring out what the hell.
So how long after kind of you putting that to bed did you kind of start to get the itch again?
Immediately, because we played our last show. Or what, what I'm saying? Like when we broke up, the final show of this tour was a festival in Massachusetts called Skate Fest or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we played that show on a Saturday, and on Monday morning, I found myself loading dirt into a wheelbarrow.
Wasn't that hooked up via one of those VOD guys? I'm sure I heard you say that somewhere.
Yeah. My brother goes, "Oh, you're breaking up. You want? Maybe I can get you a job." I was like, "Yeah, I'll take whatever I can get." We didn't like break up and like we had zero money when we broke up. It wasn't oh, we did the final tour and we made a bunch of money, so now we can use that to figure out our next move. It was more like, no, we'll use all the money from the tour to pay all the debts, pay for all these outstanding bills and shit like that.
Oh, man.
So I got Monday morning, I'm in Clinton Hill in Brooklyn on a construction site, loading dirt into a wheelbarrow and then bringing it outside and loading stones into a wheelbarrow, loading a dumpster.
Did you not think at that time, what have I done? Or were you still like...
No, I wasn't like, oh my God, I wish. I wasn't like, oh my God, I wish I was with the Movielife guys. I was just more like, oh God, this isn't cool. Although I was making money, which is something that never happened in the Movielife back then. So we, it was fucking brutal. I was dating a girl and I would just show up to her place 5 p.m. She lived in Manhattan, and I would just be like, I don't know, basically I'd have to go to sleep because I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. the next morning to get to Brooklyn to go and do a job I didn't want to do. I was super grateful to have a job and have Tim sort me out, but he knew that I wasn't cut out for it either. He was just like, this is a joke. This kid is not gonna. He's like, because he was like, all right, so now you got to go get this, you got to get that, you got to get this kind of drill. You need to basically buy all your own gear and like do this for real. And I was just like, dude, I'm not doing this for real. You know, I'm not cut out for this shit. And he's just like, all right, yeah. So Daryl was putting together Head Automatica, and he asked me to if I wanted to join. I totally did. Next thing I know, we're in San Francisco. I'm out of the construction site. I'm working on music with my friends. Living in San Francisco, having a really nice time. And getting my brain back into the music. And I was writing I Am The Avalanche stuff on the side, but we were seeing what was going to happen with Head Automatica.
Yeah.
And I played a few shows with Head Automatica. And at that time, I had almost an entire record written for Avalanche. And I decided that I was going to go that direction and that I had a lot more to say. And it was way better for Head Automatica too, because they got our friend Craig, who we grew up with as well, to play guitar, and he was actually a guitar player. He's a really good guitar player.
Right.
So I was kind of not. I was just kind of playing power chords and hanging out with my buds. So, yeah. So I went and started to see the whole I Am The Avalanche thing through, and put a record together.
Okay. Was Daryl cool with that, with you leaving, or was it?
Yeah. I think ultimately he was stoked to have a real guitar player. But yeah, me and him, me and him were cool. We always butted heads about shit, and I didn't think it was a good idea for him to be my boss. And I don't think that he thought it was a good idea either. But he was being a cool dude asking me to be in the band. But we would have our static, and ended up being a way better deal for both of us, for me not to be in the band. But yeah, super awesome time in my life being out in San Francisco. Definitely made some lifelong friends in that situation, and it's just part of the journey, part of like. It was definitely a transitional period of my life. I just like my eyes kind of opened a little bit and kind of entered this new realm of who I was, Started smoking a bunch of weed in San Francisco, basically. But having a really good time and kind of feeling good again, feeling healthy and positive again, instead of the toxic kind of feeling that it felt like towards the end of Movielife.
Right. Okay. So just in a better place generally. And then did you had some hassle with drive-through with the whole I Am The Avalanche thing, with them effectively claiming ownership to you still?
You could put it that way.
Right. Okay.
I was shopping. I wanted to shop around the demos to see, to labels, to see what was gonna go on, and I signed a deal with the Movielife. When I signed a contract saying that they had the right to a first look at anything else I was gonna do, and they had an option to keep me. And I sent them demos, and they exercised that option. So
got it.
They did what they were totally in their right to do, which was keep me as a musician on their label. I don't particularly think it was a great situation for me, only because Drive Through was, Drive Through played a really big part in Movielife's success. Signing to Drive Through and putting out Gambling Problem and then 40 Hour really just raised things to a new level.
Yeah, that's undeniable, isn't it? Yeah.
We didn't always see eye to eye or get along. But the reason I don't think it was good for I Am The Avalanche record to come out on Drive Through was because Drive Through was kind of in their final days. It was, there wasn't much coming out on the label. It just wasn't a good era for the label. So we kind of, released the record not in the glory days of Drive Through. It was more,
of course,
the dying days of Drive Through. But yeah, I mean, hey, I got nothing bad to say about them. I mean, we were hard to work with. They were hard to work with. We did a bunch of cool shit together. And they're definitely part of the Movielife story and the Vinnie story. They definitely saw something in me and got behind me. And it's cool, and it's all good.
That's cool, man.
So were you straight back out to the UK with I Am The Avalanche then, pretty much?
Our first ever show was in the UK.
Oh, nice. Where was that at?
It was at the Peel in Kingston.
Oh, Kingston, nice. Yeah.
Did you find that your kind of any of your fans kind of changed between then, or you had picked up new or lost old, or was it pretty much the old crowd you knew and loved?
Well, this is before any records came out. It was just like the demo that I had circulated on the internet, and this dude offered to bring us over, and we thought, wow, that sounds cool. Our first shows will be in England. That's going to be awesome. And I think everyone that came, we played in Manchester as well, and I think that everyone that came to the shows were like Movielife fans who were curious as to what was going to go on, and we had such a good time. That was a really fun trip. It was cool. Yeah, everything was always, when am I going to the UK with this? As soon as I started playing solo shows, when am I going to the UK with this? I gotta go to the UK. Gotta go to the UK. It's always I submitted a very long list of UK cities yesterday that I would like to visit towards the end of the year. So,
really? Oh,
yeah,
lovely.
Yeah.
Give us a taster of what's on that list.
I don't want to read out the cities because it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes promoters in certain cities don't want me there as much as I want to be there. Meaning they don't want to pay. So I'll let I'll figure out where it is. But you know what the thing is I mean, I'm putting out a solo record in the fall. It's already finished, and I'm just getting the artwork together now. And I wanted to wait until they released the fixture list for the 2019-2020 season for the Premier League, but they're not releasing it until June, and I can't wait that long to book these shows. So,
I see.
I just gotta hope I'm
just want to watch football. Or soccer.
Hope
well,
that
I would like to go and see. What's that?
See the Scousers.
Exactly. I got to go see my guys.
So how did that come about anyway? How come you become an adopted Scouse Liverpool fan?
I'm certainly not Scouse. I'm from Long Island, New York, so I don't. Yeah, that's silly. Some American fans are just ridiculous. They I got into an argument with a dude I think I was wearing a Liverpool shirt, and a guy in a bar is like, "You scouse piece of shit," and I was like joking, and I was just like, "Where are you from?" He's like, East Meadow, which is a town like close to where I grew up. I'm like, "Who do you like?" It's like, "I'm a Manc." I'm like, "No, you're not. You like a team. You're a fan." The social the social affiliations and like societal shit that it has to do with your club has nothing to do with you, son. You're an idiot. So no, I'm not a scouse. I'm not a scouser. I'm a kid from Long Island who grew up playing the game. I still play the game.
Nice.
I'm a center midfielder, box to box kind of guy. And at this age, you know, I think there's a lot to be said about that. My midfield prowess. Being a midfielder, my whole... Oh, God, all the people on my team are younger than me, too. And I'm like, you guys should be doing this job. Like, I went on tour, and they're like, we need you, man. We need you. I'm like, yo, you guys are like 10 years younger than me, man. So, yeah, I always respected Stevie G. Like, I love the way he played. Great player. Long-range goals. Cranking shots from 30 yards. Hard tackles. That's the kind of player that I got interested in. So basically, the short story is we would never see live matches here. Maybe like a week later, you would see like either a highlight show of what would go on in the Premier League or FA Cup or anything like that. Yeah. Or they would just play full matches. But you would just watch to just watch. You didn't get to choose what you were watching, and it was never live. Okay. But they would play the bigger clubs more often than not. So you'd end up seeing a lot of Arsenal and Man U and Liverpool games. Yeah. And I just would watch them, and I was just like, this guy's my guy. I love this guy. And I started to really love Liverpool every time I would go there on tour. I thought it was a really wild city, and I thought that I got a real kick out of the people that I would meet at the shows. And and made some lifelong friends too, like people that I go to matches with who I met like in 2001 in Liverpool, like when I first played there. Oh, wow. Okay. I actually placed a bet. My friend Peter, I met him that day. He's just this nice dude. I put a bet in the other day with him because he's got a bookies like on his corner. I woke up in the morning, I look at my wife and I go, Burnley's going to take points off of City today and we're going to win the league. And I go, babe, and I looked at the odds. I go, babe, I'm going to send money to Peter. I'm gonna have him put a bet. So I bet $100 on Burnley to draw City. I stood to make £800, and I was like, "That's gonna be so cool." And then I was like, "We'll use the money to go to a match together," because my wife's never been to Anfield. Right. And we were doing this charity walk in the city, and I had like my headphone on in one ear, listening to the match. Oh my God, I'm like maybe 1 inch away from 800 pounds. That ball that like just got over the line. It fucking sucks, man. But anyway, my wife used to be like a model. So she was travel around and live in all these really exotic places. And even when we first started dating, she lived in France and all right. She was in England doing some work, and she goes, who would you say is like your team? And I'm like, like, because I never felt like I needed to choose. I just enjoyed watching, but I was like, I would have to say Liverpool if I had a gun to my head. It's just the team that I watch more, and it's the team and the city I love, and the people in the city I love, and I was like, yeah, like, I guess Liverpool, And she was asking because she was like buying some stuff. She was like in a sports store. She's probably in like JD Sports or something.
Yeah.
And she brought me home a Liverpool scarf, and still have it. And that was like when I kind of chose, because when you're an American, it's not like this cultural thing for you. It's more. It becomes that, and you learn about the club and whatever. But we're Yanks. We're not involved with anything like. So I always get shit. I listen. I know that people hate on Liverpool. They really hate on Liverpool, and I know that a lot of the UK people that come to my shows, I know that they like me despite the fact that I support Liverpool. But it's cool, and I can handle the banter, and I know the game, and I love the game, so I love talking about it with people.
Cool.
And I always welcome that. I always look forward to that when I get to the UK, because nobody here talks to me about it. Like I have my friends who are into it, and we talk about it, but like on tour, there's no like, it's like I'm into this sport that nobody in the band cares about it. So I'm just sitting there like having this, taking cars across town to go and watch matches at like supporters club, like bars and shit. And I'm on this like solo journey on tour. So when I'm in England, it's great. Everybody wants to talk about it. So I'm like super excited to talk about it. But I always try to, I've been to Anfield 3 times now, and I have a 9-0 aggregate score from when I attend matches at Anfield.
A good charm.
I've never seen them scored upon.
Right.
Really?
Well, if you were there this season, you wouldn't see too much of that anyway. You're doing pretty well.
It's been amazing. What a fucking season.
What I will say to you though, Vinny, you've actually got my team, Newcastle United, this weekend. I'm a season ticket supporter there. And we're the only team to have beaten Man City this year as well. So, it could be an interesting one.
Can I just say I want you both to lose?
Who do you support?
I'm an Arsenal guy.
Cool. Well, I will say I'm glad to see Newcastle staying up. I know isn't your goal for the season, and you definitely want more than that. But I've been quietly rooting for Newcastle. I have some good friends who are Newcastle supporters, and
cool.
Actually, the man who designed all of our merchandise for our last tour, Neil Preston, he's a fantastic tattooer from Newcastle. He and I have been, I've been keeping tabs on Newcastle I knew that Newcastle was going to take points off it. That's why I've made that bet this week. I've been calling so many of these games. I've been predicting, I should say, so many of these outcomes. I texted him and told him that I was like, Newcastle's going to fucking do something today. You guys are going to do something for us today. Because it was almost like a title race back then, they were neck and neck the whole season. And sure enough, you guys did.
Maybe you should put a little bet on Newcastle the weekend, just, to kind of make up for, it might put a smile on your face with a bit of money in your pocket if Liverpool get beat.
Oh, God, I can't handle that. There's no way I can bet. I'm still holding on to hope that...
You've got a big game tomorrow night as well, though, haven't you? You've got a couple of things you're going for.
Yeah, it's been so fun. It's been such a fun season. I'm having a blast watching these guys. They're fucking so cool. I love these dudes. I'm proud of those dudes. They're fucking awesome. I'm having a lot of fun being a Liverpool supporter. It's a wild ride. And get to watch them play Barcelona tomorrow. That's sick. I wish I could be there. I wish I could I want to witness a Champions League match one of these days. I think that they're going to be in the mix for a very long time. I think Liverpool's back.
Well, Once upon a time, I did see Newcastle United play Barcelona in the Champions League at St James's Park, but that's gone a long way back now. Unfortunately, we're miles away from that.
It's incredible. I love that. Well, Newcastle's definitely on the list that I submitted yesterday. We'll see if they'll have me. It's a really cool spot. It's a cool city, but I wish that I could. Wait. The other 3 times I went to Anfield. It was like I totally planned it and made sure that I was playing Liverpool on match night, or like the last one we were playing Leeds, and I had to hire a car to drive me from from Liverpool to Leeds after the match, and I got to the show like an hour before we were scheduled to play.
Dedication.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fun. It's like a dream, for us. It's just this world on TV that we witness on Saturday and Sunday mornings, Yeah. So to be there it's definitely very much like a dream.
Yeah. I obviously, Vinny, we don't want to keep too much of your time, so I'll just quickly jump into a couple of things here.
It's cool. I just want to watch the Spurs Ajax Champions League game. That's all I have to do today.
Me too, man. Don't worry. Okay.
I just worked for 5 weeks straight, 24 hours a day. So I've been giving myself. Well, it's just the tour is like.
Yeah, I suppose
it was long and hard,
and isn't it?
I'm giving myself this week to just kind of hang out,
recharge.
Yeah. I'll get busy. In a few days. So go on.
So I was going to ask, obviously, with the first few I Am The Avalanche years, did obviously must have hooked up with old Rob Hitt, who you mentioned earlier, because did he put out like the latter releases? Was that on his label?
It was. He put out Avalanche United and Wolverines.
That's it. Yeah. He's a good guy, Rob.
He's great.
Is he still doing that label and the Crush management stuff?
No,
you said you spoke to him recently.
He's transitioned into another field.
Is he?
Yeah, he doesn't work in management anymore.
Okay.
But he's I don't believe he's putting out records. I haven't heard of anything like that in a while, but I'm not sure what he's up to. He might still have his hand in some music of some kind. I haven't sat down and talked to him about it for a while.
Right.
Our conversation was strictly me trying to get Midtown to play a reunion show so that I could see it.
Right. So then, obviously, was the first reunion, Movielife wise, around about 2010. I'm not including the Set Your Goals thing you did, like the first one with the old members. Did you do like some one-off shows around 2010 before the 2015 reunion?
I think we played Bamboozle.
That was it. So did you just feel like you guys were ready for it again, or was that maybe too early?
That's exactly. We played, and I was working on Avalanche United, and I think people wanted to do more, and I remember being like, it's just a really bad time for me, and so we kind of let it rest, and then kind of pulled the trigger again when we thought we were ready for that.
And it worked out better because obviously you ended up doing a whole new record.
I've been having an amazing time. I mean, been able to make a record and play some really great shows, and it's just so cool. I mean, if anything, right now it'll probably rest for a little bit, just because it's like so. I mean, how often do you really? It's not like we're gonna do another 5-week tour in the fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I know Brandon has been writing some stuff that he's really excited about, writing some music. So he and I were talking about getting together and keeping the wheels turning in that respect.
Okay. Oh, cool.
I guess you got the solo stuff keeping you busy as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like, that's where my focus is now. This record I just made is fucking cool. I'm really, really into it. I love it. I cannot wait to like show everyone this stuff.
Are you just gonna launch that independently, or?
I'll be working with the label from the UK on the UK and Europe side of things. Sure. But I'm just getting all of that together right now.
Okay.
Like, sealing the deals.
Okay. So what kind of time are you aiming for that to drop?
Ideally October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And sound wise, is it gonna be reminiscent of that last full length you did 3 years ago, or are you changing it up a bit? Like how?
Changing it up.
Right. Okay.
Changing it up. Yeah. It's still me, and it's still I don't know. I had a bunch of songs that I decided to just. I thought I had a record, and then I said, you know what? I don't even feel like recording this record. I don't think that I feel like it's something that I had done before. You know, I was just like, this is not better than any of the other solo material that I've done. And that was basically it. I was like, this isn't better than what I already did. And so I threw most of it away and started over and I just got to this really cool place where it's kind of this new feeling. And it's a really good feeling. It feels really good. It's fucking depressing as shit, but I mean, a lot of my lyrical subject matter isn't always sunshiny and happy, but
yeah.
There's melodies and chord progressions in there that carry it to a place where it does make you feel good. I've shared it with some of my friends and a lot of peers of mine, like people I came up with in music and stuff, and the reaction that I've been getting has been really heartening. Like, I'm pretty sure I did make something as special as I think I made, judging by the reaction of people's opinions who I trust. And
okay,
I feel like I definitely made something special. So I'm really, really excited. I think there's a few songs on this record that might be the best songs I've ever written. And that's obviously coming out of my mouth. So I'll let anyone else be the judge. But I couldn't be happier with it.
Great. We'll look forward to hearing it, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Definitely.
Well, I'll definitely be making some announcements about that soon. I just need to get all the ducks in a row first.
Cool.
Sure. What are you so what are you up to kind of outside of music these days? Are you or is music just kind of taking everything up at the minute, or
at the moment it's always something to do with music,
cool.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I do play quite a bit on my own, doing solo shows. These handwritten lyric sheets have kept me extremely busy in between tours, which has been really fun. It's really strange, like how little it's like you forget that you don't really write anymore. We really do type or just use our phones for shit.
Sure.
Writing on a piece of paper with a pen is a really like strange experience. Like you get like blisters on your hands and shit.
Yeah.
That's kept me really busy. That's been really fun, and totally gratifying. I get a lot of stories. People that have ordered these things from me, and it's actually been a really awesome amount of people from the UK getting involved. And it's not just like this order form that you fill out. It's really just a direct conversation between me and the person. So
that's cool.
I would say almost everything I've done like these lyric sheets, almost every one that I've done, I get like at least a small explanation on what the song means to them or for the person that they're getting the sheet for, or, you know, so it's like,
yeah,
it's just another connection where I just get a kick out of hearing these stories, and like, you know, I know what these songs mean to me, but it's interesting to hear what part of this person's life this song is attached to, you know?
yeah.
So I've been keeping busy with that, and I work, sometimes I work in music publishing where I do co-writes for other artists.
Okay.
Helping
anyone cool? Or?
A lot of cool things, a lot of things that, like, it's generally younger folks who are like signed to majors and people that their records aren't out yet or and stuff like that. But I'll help people write lyrics, or I'll help them put songs together for their records, which is really cool. But yeah, everything that I do is still all music related, which was definitely my mission statement when I went into bartending for a long time. It can be a really great way to make money in New York, but my music was suffering and I wasn't doing anything, you know, I was just working. And so that was definitely part of being a musician full time again, was, you know, try to just do music all the time and have that be your life and have that be your focus and your universe. And luckily I've been able to make a living doing it. It's not always peaches. It can be really stressful to do this, but it's also super, super rewarding and fulfilling for sure.
Cool.
So in the last podcast, we introduced this new bit where it's like a quick fire round when we ask a couple of questions, but I don't like Nick's like looking like he maybe doesn't want to do that. Maybe it's because like we could probably guess Vinny's answers to most of these, couldn't we?
Yeah,
like it was.
We can do it, yeah.
We could give it a test, and if it sucks, we can just edit it out. We tried it with we had Peter Munters on last time. Do you remember him? He used to play in that band Over It. Do you remember them from back in the day?
Yeah. You know what? I saw him in the crowd at one of our shows.
Oh, really?
On this last tour. I swear I saw him in the crowd.
Oh, man.
I saw his face. Where does he live?
Yeah. He lives in Hollywood.
I'm pretty sure he came to our show at the Roxy.
Oh, really?
Because I looked into the crowd and I saw him. And I smiled. I smiled at him, and then he kind of gave me this nod, like, "Yeah, what's up, dude?"
Oh, man.
And I totally forgot about that until you just mentioned it. Maybe it was somebody else.
He still very much likes to keep himself involved in the scene, so yeah, it's probably
so it's very like
surprised.
Yeah,
that's cool.
We had a problem. We had a problem with the platform, so we lost his entire audio, which we were really devastated about, and he was so nice about it. So he's a top guy. But anyway, we'll give this quick. It's only a few questions, so we'll give you two options, and then you just say which one you prefer, essentially. But I think we could probably guess on most of these, but you know, we'll edit it out if it doesn't work. So
you go for the first one.
Okay. So the first one is English football or American football?
English football.
We've got Liverpool winning the Champions League or the Premier League.
Which one do I want, or which one do I think will happen?
Do you want?
I would prefer to win the Premier League.
It has been a long time for Liverpool. Revelation or drive-through?
Both equally important in my career.
Nice diplomatic answer.
We've got Brighton or London.
Brighton.
Oh,
That's
nice.
my favorite city in the UK.
Oh, okay. It's where I'm originally from, so...
I love it there.
That's interesting for me too.
The last few times I've gone to England, I've scheduled to have a few days on my own in Brighton, and I get a room in that... you know that hotel right on the waterfront, the Mercure?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'll just sit there on that balcony and like have a beer, and I like posting up in Brighton. So yeah, the last few times I've spent a few extra days there to hang out.
So do you have some friends there?
Yeah, I have some very good friends in Brighton and Hove, like that whole area. A lot of the Excerpts guys live there.
Oh yeah.
Do you know the band The Excerpts?
Yeah, I do. Scottish band, yeah.
Yeah, and they all live in Brighton and Hove.
Oh, nice.
And some of our good friends who work for Avalanche and Movielife as crew also work there, live there too. So yeah, we have a good gang over there. Sorry, I derailed your quick fire.
No. I was curious. Yeah, we'll just quickly finish that. So it was me, wasn't it? Warped Tour or Headline Tour?
Headline Tour.
We got solo or band?
Right now, I'm saying solo. It's easier. Solo touring is easier. I don't have to.
That makes sense. Yeah.
There's so many. Now that we're old, everyone's got so much going on in their lives. It's so hard to get bands together to do stuff, and so it's a lot easier for me to do solo. So right now, I'm switching into solo mode.
Okay.
Yeah, fair. Okay, so Movielife or I Am The Avalanche?
Both massive parts of my life, but I would have to say that I like I Am The Avalanche's music more than the Movielife's music.
Ooh, fair. Okay.
Only because some of the Movielife stuff is just a little old and I don't know. The Avalanche stuff is more current to who I am now, so I relate to the lyrics more. But I appreciate the shit out of the Movielife, and Avalanche equally.
Well, we're going to end on a Movielife one anyway, so it's this time next year or 40-hour train back to Penn.
40-hour. I think it's more of a complete record.
Yeah. That's my favourite.
I'd agree with that. I suppose, Vinnie, so the last thing we have, we've just we put out to listeners that you're coming on, so we've got a couple of listener questions, which we'll put to you if that's all right.
If they're still listening, Jesus Christ, we've been talking for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Hopefully the people that are listening are enjoying that, and they're not like, Jesus, it's going on. All right, let's have it.
All right. Okay. So the first one we had, Alice Howes asks, she says, is it annoying when people request hand grenade all the time? That's a bit of an inside joke because that one's from my sister. And there was a time you were playing the Macbeth in London, and I think it was an I Am The Avalanche show, and you came on acoustically at the end, and someone just kept asking for hand grenade, and you're just like, Jesus, that's my other band. Have some respect. And I think that pissed her off all the time. So I think it's more her just saying that she was with you as a legit question, but you can answer it if you like.
Well, no, obviously, it's funny. People were yelling "I Am The Avalanche" songs at me. Like, no one's saying it seriously. They're just kind of saying it with a smile. Like,
of course.
But it used to be the other way around. People would yell Movielife songs at us when we would do Avalanche shows, and I have no problem being yelled. If someone yells "hand grenade" at me and I'm holding a guitar at a solo show, I'll play "hand grenade" for you, Alice.
Cool. We've got another question. We've got two questions from Kate from Bristol. The first part of that we've covered around the pieced out stuff, but the second part of the question was, what's your favourite Simpsons episode?
Oh, man. Man, I don't really even watch The Simpsons, and it's been a while. Maybe, I guess those Halloween ones are cool. I do watch the Halloween ones, whatever they're called. But yeah, I'm not a massive Simpsons fan.
Not a huge.
I assume that she's asking that question because there's a Simpsons line in an old Movielife song.
Maybe.
Are you aware of that?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
There's a line in Walking on Glass that is taken from The Simpsons.
Black stuff. Yes, yeah.
I have a feeling but I'm not really a big Simpsons guy.
Okay. So James South asks, is there any? Because I suppose this is assuming that maybe you're not paying that much attention to like modern pop punk music, but he says, are there any modern pop punk bands specifically that you like?
I don't listen to pop punk. I'm sorry to say. I don't know. Like, I'm 39 years old. I don't think I'm the target audience for a lot of the new pop punk bands. But shit, let me think. Who have I seen? I've seen the story so far a few times, and they're cool. They're definitely cool. They're a good band. So yeah, there's my answer. The Story So Far is a legit band, and I suppose they're a pop punk band, right?
Yeah, they count as pop punk. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. Story So Far, super cool band.
Okay, we got another one from Evan Charles. Says, can we expect another I Am The Avalanche record or tour?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. It's really tough to get together because not all of us even live in the same state anymore.
Right.
But there is new I Am The Avalanche music that is currently being worked on. And obviously I'm in love with the UK, and I hope that I Am The Avalanche will play in the UK within the next year or two. I don't know. We'll see. It really depends on a lot of things, but I Am The Avalanche will play in the UK again. Yeah.
Cool. Sorry. One last question I meant to ask before, but like, could you pick what your least favorite UK city is, or do you not want to be mean about one of your favorite countries?
Least favorite? I don't know. I mean, there's not really anything that comes to mind.
Outside of Brighton, where are you most looking forward to getting back to?
Brighton. I think Bristol was really cool. That's a cool city. I didn't. That kind of like was. That kind of. I never noticed Bristol being so cool. But I dig that place. Bristol's good. It's good for shows too. So a lot of people come out. I think some Welsh people come out since it's kind of close to Wales. It seemed like there was some Welsh folks.
Yeah, I saw you play down there not long ago at that Dead Punk Festival when you were doing some solo stuff. And there were a lot of people there.
Yeah. I would like to play that again. I'd like to do that again. That's really cool. Maybe I'll.
Yeah, it's a cool day.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe if they'll have me back, I'll do that. Because I know I want to come and do a solo tour when the record comes out.
Yeah.
But I'd like to come back in the spring and play a few festivals and have some fun too. So,
cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say Bristol. I'm definitely hoping to be back in Liverpool close to a match day so I can see them. And I'd love to get up to Scotland. It's been a while since I've been in Newcastle. I'd love to head up there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there isn't really anything that comes to mind of like a city that I hate in the UK. I've always
fair enough.
I've always managed. I connect with like even those bleak cities, like just where the sun never seems to shine and no one seems to be happy. I still kind of get something out of that. Like I like walking around those towns with like my headphones in, listening to moody music. It inspires me, and that's like also I like being in an uncomfortable place and like walking. There's always warmth somewhere. So I love being in like a cold, blustery, gray, bleak kind of town, but then like stepping into a pub and having like a warm meal and a beer. It's like that. Yeah. There's still light in the darkness, you know? Almost those warm meals and that beer that you're just like, wow, that might have been the best beer, like most I've ever enjoyed a beer. I feel like those are because you've earned it by being in
freezing cold,
a bleak place. yeah, exactly.
Well, if you have enough of them, you don't feel the cold anymore. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, enough. Shit, man. Like that's how I got through this winter. I think I need to. I think I've been drinking a little too much, but it's I'm going to New Orleans in a few weeks with Mike from I Am The Avalanche, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be a boozy affair. So I think I'm gonna give it a rest until then.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. I think we've taken enough of your time as it is, Vinny. I want to thank you so much for doing this. Super cool of you. Is there anything you want to add at the end here?
Just to all the UK folks, thanks so much for always making me feel so welcome there. I do feel this connection with the UK, and it will be. I'm always going to come there and sing songs, and I'll be back in the fall to sing a bunch of Avalanche songs and Movielife songs and some solo stuff too. And I'll be back with a new record.
Cool. Yeah, well, we look forward to hearing it, and thanks for your time, and good luck for Liverpool tomorrow night.
I know you don't mean that, but thank you.
Nice one. Cheers, Vinny. You take care of yourself.
Thanks, Vinny.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
So there it was, Vinnie Caruana. That was pretty fun, eh, Chris?
That was really cool. Big shout out to him and a big thanks to him because obviously from the length of this you can tell he gave us a lot of his time. So
I don't think it'll be long till we'll hear and see new things from him. Like anyway.
Judging from what he said about his new solo album and forthcoming tour over here, so keep an eye out for that for sure.
Yeah, cool. Well, just a reminder to give us a like and a share. On our social media channels, Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. You'll be able to stay up to date with all kind of new guests around the corner.
Yep.
Yeah, anything else, Chris?
I think that's everything, so until next time,
Cool.
Thanks for listening.
And I can't wait for you to arrive, and we'll say